I'm Leo Walder for Kit Guru. This laptop here is the Asus Republic of Gamers, or ROG, GX501VI Zephyrus, or Zephyrus. This is a preview of this laptop because it uses Nvidia Max-Q technology and that hasn't launched yet. It was announced during Computex 2017, Kit Guru carried news about it, and indeed Luke and myself had a discussion about it, but it hasn't yet officially launched, which means that I'm not allowed to discuss the details of Max-Q, specifically the performance, in particular, frame rates and such like. Also, I imagine clock speeds, but all the good stuff. And the thing is that separating the graphics of a laptop from the rest of the laptop is just impossible. So this is a preview. I'm not going to be showing games and such like. I'm going to be talking about the laptop as a whole, but if you come back in just under 2 weeks time, you'll be able to see a proper review of this laptop. Even though this is a pre-release version of the laptop, it looks to me to be a retail version that's different in a couple of details from the UK spec model. So I have no problem showing performance, although there's going to be that driver updatey thing inevitably, which means that the precise figures I've seen so far probably are not the precise figures that will be true when the laptop goes on sale. So that was a very long-winded intro. What's the most salient point about it? Well, it's thin and it's light, and that's what the Max-Q thing is about, and we need to have a look at that. Asus is making bold claims about the lightweight of this laptop, but do we trust them? Only one way to find out. Well, that was unexpected. It turns out when Asus says a laptop is thin and light, despite being 15.6 inches on the diagonal, it truly is thin and light. 2.2 kilos, under 5 pounds. Well, indeed. Thin, certainly 18 mil. From this angle, I have to say it looks remarkably slender, and compared to any ROG laptop I can think of off the top of my head, it is wafer thin. Also looking at it from this angle, two sort of aspects of it do really catch the eye. On this side we have two USB 3.0s and the Type-C Thunderbolt 3, but no exhaust vents. There's an exhaust vent on the back here, one on the back over there, and on the other side, but this side doesn't have any, and that's because this is the CPU side. The GPU side needs more cooling, there's more heat and energy going on over that side of things. So this side is different to that side. Also, the way the keyboard is crammed to the front, touchpad, mouse buttons over this side, and this space left for the cooling, because there really is no bulk to put the cooling in. So the whole laptop has been configured around the cooling at the rear. But despite that, I mean, look at that. That is wafer thin and so light. It's an absolute delight to see. Right, well that proves a point about the thinness and the lightness of the laptop. The thing that Nvidia talked about during Computex 2017, it's to do with the thickness of the laptop, which is sort of 19 millimeters. And I can only think they picked that number because it's 3/4 of an inch, and less than 5 pounds. That's 2.25, 2.3 kilos, which for a large gaming laptop is very light, for a thin light laptop is fairly heavy. So it's clearly pertinent to a laptop that has high-end Nvidia graphics engineered into it. Now, when Luke and myself discussed Max-Q at Computex, we had a great many unknowns. It was vague apart from the thinness and the lightness and the graphicsness, the rest of it and how they'd done stuff and so on. We had no clue. The snag is that now I know more about it, having used the Zephyrus, and I can't talk about it while I'm under NDA, not for, as I say, the best part of 2 more weeks. So there's going to be, as we understand it, GTX 1060, 1070, 1080 Max-Q graphics chips in various laptops. 1060 I'm not so sure about who's going to be using that at the moment. 1070 MSI absolutely has a model. We've covered that in news on Kit Guru. 1080 is interesting. This is GTX 1080 Max-Q, but Asus has an exclusive. They're not quite sure about the precise, or they're not telling me the precise details, but they're saying for about 6 months, so that's the rest of this year. Which is pretty impressive. So if you want a GTX 1080 Max-Q laptop in 2017, this is the one. But not exactly this one in the UK, because it differs in 2 respects, small respects, from the retail version. So this has got 24 gigabytes of DDR4 2400 megahertz, that's 8 gig on board and a 16 gig single module added in. Apparently the UK version is going to have 16 gig, presumably 8 on board and 8 gig added in. Why they've done that, I'm not entirely clear. You wouldn't think it would cost a fortune. Anyway, the SSD in this is an M.2 Samsung SM961, that's NVMe. It's a 1 terabyte version. The UK version is apparently going to have a 512 gig of the same. So that's obviously a money saving thing. Now, in terms of money saving, the price of this laptop is a penny under £2,800, 279,999, which does seem like a lot of money for what looks on the face of it like a conventional laptop, although as discussed it's not really. But I look back over recent reviews, and I reviewed an Asus ROG G501VI, and that was £3,100, and that's actually quite similar to this. It's bigger, but it's got a 6th gen Intel processor, and it had a GTX 1080, but pretty similar in many respects, and that was £3,100. So this is cheaper than that. That, mind you, was expensive. So taking a tour around the laptop, it's thin, it's light, we've established. It's got a 15.6-inch screen, but the screen is interesting because it's G-Sync, it's 120Hz, it's IPS. It's got a matte coating on the panel, so it hasn't got the leery colour brightness shiny thing going on, which I prefer a matte finish myself, so you don't get glare. But generally speaking, I would say you get 2 of those 3 features in most panels. You get 120Hz or G-Sync or IPS. To get all 3 in the same panel, I assumed it'd be TN, but no, IPS. And I'm right around the side here, and I have to say the viewing angle is good. The colours are consistent, even around here. So that works well, happy with that. The panel, like it. The form factor, it's unusual because the cooling is such a big part. I mean, inside the thing there is a cooler there's a cooler there, CPU, GPU. There are different sizes, different shapes. It's a funny thing with the heat pipes, because they say there are 5 heat pipes that are effectively 8. That's because there's a fat bit at the back which has sort of extra little sections added on. It's 5 heat pipes. The fact that one heat pipe is extra wide, it's still 5 heat pipes. But you can see how they've arranged the system, and you've got a vent on the back and on the back and on the side, but nothing on this side. So the heat is flowing in a particular way. The fans are sucking air in through this risey, fally 6mm gap. When you open and close the lid, it opens and raises up. All makes perfect sense. My one thought with that is, because the fans are just under this plastic cover, if you were to put the thing down in a damp spot, I wonder what would happen. I mean, as far as I can see, the thing might suck in liquid. Not that I'm suggesting you'd put your expensive laptop on a damp surface, but you never know. As to what on earth would happen if you put the thing on, say, a duvet, on some soft bedding or soft furnishings, I shudder to think. Please don't, is all I can say. Putting it on a hard surface is absolutely the thing to do. Putting it on your lap is okay. Yeah, it's okay. But a hard surface, absolutely. Soft furnishings would seem like a nightmare. What else? The battery. Really surprised by this. It's a 4-cell 50 watt hour, and I'm actually unclear at the moment whether I can discuss the precise details of the battery life, because everything else is kind of linked, battery, graphics. But 50 watt hour, that's tiddly, life not great. Now, with a gaming laptop, you don't generally bitch and moan about battery life because you just accept it's going to be shockingly poor. The thing is, Jensen Huang at Computex was showing off gameplay, holding the laptop out while it was playing a racing game, because Max-Q is lower power, therefore it can play games without the power cord. So quite neat. Not so great if the battery's not so good. What can you say? That's what they were showing. I've seen the battery in this. If you're going to play games on battery, you need a decent battery life. That's all I can say. Ports and connectors, it's got a good set. It's got a Thunderbolt 3 USB-C on this side. It's got 2 USB 3.0s there, 2 USB 3.0s there. It's got HDMI 2. It's got an audio jack. It's got a Kensington lock. Brilliant. Absolutely fine. The Wi-Fi is Intel 8211. It's 8265, and that's a 2x2 8211AC. Absolutely amazing. One of the tasks involved in reviewing laptops is downloading Gears of War 4 from the Microsoft store. This thing hooned through it, and that's like a 100 gigabyte download. It hooned through it. Absolutely impressive Wi-Fi. Best Wi-Fi I've experienced myself, so that's a good thing. I can't sum up the laptop by recommending you buy it or don't buy it, because I can't discuss the performance of the thing, and that's clearly critical to whether you should spend £2,800 on a laptop. I will say it looks good. The thickness or thinness, the low noise levels, the decent performance, these are all good things. As to the precise details of whether or not you should buy it, you're going to have to check back for the full review. Sorry about that. It's out of my hands. This is in the hands of Nvidia, and there we go. We are beholden to Nvidia. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. If you want more from Git Guru, click to subscribe. I'm Leo Woodard for Git Guru. This is Asus ROG GX501VI Zephyrus.